Hello there, welcome to the Sleepy Knowledge channel. You close your eyes and feel the thin veil between waking and dreaming begin to tremble. The room grows softer, quieter, as the edges of thought start to blur. There's a whisper in the air, not a sound, but a sensation, a knowing that the night is beginning its gentle work. You feel your body sinking, your breath finding its rhythm, as if the tides within you are obeying the pull of a distant moon. And somewhere, beyond the conscious mind, a door begins to open. This is the twilight between waking and dreaming, a place neither here nor there. You stand upon its silver threshold, surrounded by half-formed visions. Shapes shimmer like distant lanterns beneath water. Thoughts stretch, then fade, dissolving into images you can't yet name. The logical world begins to loosen its grip, replaced by something softer, freer, timeless. You are still aware, but not fully awake. Like a traveler resting on the shore between two vast oceans. Your breathing deepens, and the sounds around you begin to melt into the background. The hum of the world transforms into a single, low note, a kind of lullaby sung by the universe itself. In this moment, your brain is changing its rhythm, slowing its electric pulse. Neurons that once sparked with daylight urgency now begin to drift in waves. Alpha waves shimmer, slower and calmer, and then theta waves emerge. The frequency of the dreamer, the poet, the wanderer of the mind. It is in these waves that imagination begins to bloom. They are like gentle ripples in the quiet lake of your consciousness. Thoughts become images. Memories blur with fantasy. You may see the face of someone you love, but it glows differently now, surrounded by light, untethered from logic. This borderland of mind is where your inner world begins to paint itself upon the canvas of sleep. It's not random. It's an ancient rhythm your body has always known. You might feel yourself falling or floating. These are not illusions, but echoes of your body's surrender. Your muscles release their hold, and the vestibular system, the balance keeper in your inner ear, drifts slightly out of sync. The brain interprets this as motion, falling, rising, flying, a rehearsal for the dream that is coming. The sensations you feel are not mistakes of the body. They are the quiet choreography of transition as your consciousness rearranges itself for another world. In this twilight, your mind becomes both scientist and artist. It studies the darkness and paints it with imagination. The hippocampus, keeper of memory, begins to whisper to the cortex, replaying fragments of your day. But in this half-sleep, those fragments no longer obey the laws of waking life. They melt and merge. A hallway becomes an ocean. A stranger's voice becomes the wind. The brain experiments with meaning, weaving logic and fantasy into delicate threads. As you drift deeper, the boundary between thought and dream grows thinner still. Your awareness flickers like candlelight. One moment you feel your body resting. The next, you are already inside another landscape. A garden, a starfield, a city built from forgotten memories. Time behaves differently here. The brain's clock slows its ticking. Seconds stretch like long waves rolling toward a quiet shore. And you are both the observer and the dreamer, watching yourself dissolve into the scene. Science tells us this stage is called hypnagogia, a fleeting interval when consciousness fades but does not vanish. In this state, the mind becomes exquisitely creative. Artists, inventors, and dreamers throughout history have lingered here, fishing for inspiration in its golden haze. Thomas Edison held a metal ball in his hand as he napped, so when it fell, he'd wake just as visions began. Salvador Dali painted the images that appeared between waking and dreaming. Clocks melting, landscapes bending. And perhaps You two drift through this same celestial doorway, gathering small wonders from its mist. The colors you see behind closed eyes are not hallucinations. They are the language of your neurons. Flashes of blue, spirals of red, shifting lights. These are the brain's own auroras, signals dancing across the visual cortex. It's as if your mind is painting its final picture of the day before it surrenders to sleep. Each flicker, each pulse, is both science and poetry, an electric lullaby guiding you toward rest. Somewhere in this passage, your sense of self begins to blur. The narrator in your mind, the voice that labels, decides, explains, slowly quiets. It steps back, letting the subconscious take the stage. Thoughts no longer arrive in sentences, but in images, sensations, whispers. You might feel you're remembering something that never happened, or sensing something without cause. This is the Twilight's gift, a rehearsal for dreaming, where imagination takes its first breath. If you listen carefully, you might notice how silence grows alive here. It hums, not as emptiness, but as fullness, like standing in a vast forest at night. The leaves don't move, yet the air feels awake. Your body knows this silence. It recognizes it as safety. The heart slows, the muscles unwind, the breath deepens. It's the body's way of saying, you are safe enough to wander now. You may see faint patterns emerging, waves, faces, clouds, glowing lines. The mind's eye, freed from the limits of the senses, begins to create. What you see are not random visions, but echoes of the day's impressions, the curve of a smile, the gleam of sunlight on glass, the rustle of wind through trees. They return to you now softer, dreamlike, like memories floating to the surface of a still pond. The twilight is not just transition, it's communion. Between you and your deeper self, between thought and mystery, between the known and the infinite unknown. Here, the universe inside your skull mirrors the vast one beyond the stars. Neurons firing like constellations, synapses glowing like galaxies connected by invisible filaments of light. Every spark of your brain is a tiny echo of the cosmos. And as you drift, you become both observer and universe, both question and answer. Sometimes in this in-between, you may feel something profound, not quite emotion, not quite thought, a shimmer of recognition. As if part of you remembers this place, remembers the ancient ritual of surrendering to sleep. Every creature on Earth, from bird to whale to human, shares this moment each night. It is the great equalizer, the universal rhythm. The same waves that wash over your mind have touched countless beings before you, across millennia of dreaming. Your body, too, joins this rhythm. The temperature dips slightly. The heart beeps slower. The eyes beneath closed lids begin their faint, rhythmic movements, the prelude to the deeper dream. You are not doing this consciously. It is happening to you through you. Like gravity, like tide, you are a passenger on a cosmic current that carries you gently away from waking life. As you sink further, the external world becomes distant, like a shoreline fading behind mist. The ticking clock, the faint hum of night. Even your thoughts begin to sound as though they come from somewhere far away. You no longer chase them. You let them drift. You surrender to the flow of the twilight, a soft current guiding you deeper into the realm where logic sleeps and imagination wakes. You may wonder, just before you cross fully into dreams, what this space truly is. Is it the mind's way of resetting? Is it a rehearsal for eternity? Or simply a gentle reminder that consciousness is not a single point, but a spectrum, vast, fluid, and endlessly mysterious? The scientists measure its waves and name its stages, but what it feels like, this glimmering threshold, remains something only you can know. And so you linger there, in that delicate space. Not awake, not yet asleep. The air feels thick with meaning. The stars above seem to breathe with you. Somewhere your thoughts become clouds and your worries dissolve like mist. You are not escaping the world. You are returning to the quiet rhythm beneath it. A rhythm older than memory, older than words, older than even dreaming itself. You drift deeper now, into the rhythm of the night, where the body surrenders and the mind begins to hum its secret melody. Within your skull, billions of tiny cells flicker with soft electricity, their pulses weaving together like a silent orchestra tuning before a dream. The day has faded, and what remains is the slow unfolding of sleep, an ancient process your body has always known. Every living creature dances to this rhythm, this cycle of surrender and renewal. You are part of that same vast pattern, a single note in the universal song of rest. As you sink further into calm, the brain begins to change its pattern. It slows, breathes, and begins to sing in waves. These are the brain's lullabies, gentle ripples of energy flowing from one hemisphere to the other. First come the light, easy waves, soothing you into the shallows of rest. Then deeper, slower currents take hold, delta waves, the language of true sleep. They wash through your mind like deep ocean tides, cleansing, quieting, carrying fragments of thought out to sea. You imagine those waves as silver light, moving softly through dark waters. Each one carries with it a memory, a worry, a sound from the waking world, dissolving it into stillness. The neurons that fired in chaos during the day now find harmony, synchronizing in slow rhythm. It's a kind of healing, invisible yet profound, a nightly restoration. The body may appear still, but inside, galaxies of activity shimmer and pulse in the dark. The sleeping brain does not rest in silence. It hums with purpose. Electrical storms dance across its surface like northern lights in a night sky. They travel through layers of thought, cortex, hippocampus, thalamus, each playing its part in the great choreography of sleep. Information is sorted and filed like a librarian of the soul, arranging the stories of your day. The brain sifts through memories, keeping what matters and letting the rest fade into mist. You can almost feel it, the sorting, the rearranging, the gentle repair. Cells whisper to one another in electrochemical code, rebuilding what was worn, refreshing what was tired. It's strange to think that while you lie still, entire worlds of thought are being rebuilt in silence. Scientists call this process consolidation, but in the language of dreams, it feels like weaving. Each strand of memory becomes a thread, tied carefully into the great tapestry of your mind. And then, without warning, something begins to stir beneath the calm. Tiny bursts of rapid energy appear, flashing through the quiet delta sea. The eyes, though closed, begin to flicker gently beneath the lids. This is the sign, the moment when the symphony shifts into a new movement. You have entered the realm of REM, where the sleeping brain becomes almost as active as when you are awake. Here, stories form, images rise, the orchestra swells. You are floating now in the silent symphony of the sleeping brain. Each note, each pulse, is a neuron speaking, firing, connecting. The brain stem sends signals upward, activating the visual centers, the emotional centers, the regions that color your dreams. Yet the body remains still, paralyzed by the brain's own design, a protective hush that keeps the dreamer safe within the story. It's as if the body is the stage, and the mind, the unseen playwright, has dimmed the lights for its nightly performance. You sense how the dreaming brain becomes both wild and wise. Freed from the anchors of logic, it roams where it pleases, across time, memory, imagination. It blends the real and the impossible with effortless grace. You might see a forest made of light, or hear a voice from long ago. These are not random visions. They are your brain's poetry, composed from fragments of thought, emotion, and memory. If you could listen closely, you might hear the rhythm of it all. The slow beat of your heart echoes through the bloodstream. In time with the rolling waves of delta and theta, the breath rises and falls like soft wind through trees. Every sound, every pulse, every signal is in harmony, the inner world moving to the same tempo as the cosmos itself. The universe breathes, so do you. The connection feels endless. The longer you stay in this rhythm, the deeper the healing goes. Hormones are released like gentle rain, repairing tissue, balancing chemistry, soothing what the day has unsettled. The brain, now bathed in darkness and silence, uses this time to reset its circuits. Neurotransmitters replenish, synapses strengthen or fade. It is a great balancing act, an invisible art that keeps the mind alive and the spirit whole. Somewhere in this deep rhythm, you drift between cycles. Light sleep returns, then darkness again, each stage flowing into the next like the phases of the moon. The brain moves through these patterns 4, 5, sometimes 6 times each night. A spiral, not a straight path. You are carried along effortlessly, wrapped in layers of silence and pulse, thought and nothingness. The night passes not in stillness, but in graceful motion. You imagine your brain as a glowing sea, and each wave is a note in an endless song. The neurons shimmer like plankton beneath the surface, lighting up with each thought, each dream, each whisper of emotion. When the waves slow, you feel peace. When they quicken, the dream begins to dance again. Every movement, every flicker, is part of the silent symphony playing just for you. Sometimes, as the night deepens, the patterns grow more mysterious. The brain, in its dreaming, creates emotions that have no cause, stories that have no logic, yet they feel real. You wake sometimes with a feeling rather than a memory, the echo of the dream's emotion. It lingers like perfume in the morning air, fading slowly as the daylight returns. Science can map the waves, but it cannot measure that quiet magic, the way dreams touch the heart. You lie still, and in your imagination, the brain becomes a great concert hall. Inside it, the musicians never sleep. They shift from one song to another, blending memory with mystery, logic with love. Each neuron is a note, each heartbeat a drum. The entire orchestra plays in time with your breath. And as the night unfolds, this hidden concert restores you, thought by thought, dream by dream. You begin to see how perfectly this symphony is timed. Even the smallest pulse has meaning. When the brain quiets, the body heals. When it sings, the soul remembers. You are both conductor and listener, both melody and silence. And somewhere within this balance, life renews itself again and again. The dream you'll soon enter will be the next movement, a continuation of this song. The mind, alive with electricity, will begin to create stories from sound and color, from memory and wish. You will walk through impossible landscapes, fly through oceans of starlight, speak to forgotten faces. And though it feels endless, it is only part of the rhythm, part of the science and poetry of being alive. As you float here, halfway between silence and story, you feel the harmony of it all. The symphony continues, even if you cannot hear it. Beneath every breath, every heartbeat, every flicker of thought, the sleeping brain plays on. A quiet masterpiece, written in waves, performed in dreams, and carried forever through the night. You drift further into night, where thought and imagination begin to blend like colors in twilight water. In this soft space, your mind becomes a silent architect, designing entire landscapes from the quiet hum of neurons. You can almost feel the gentle spark of creation happening behind your closed eyes. The forming of images, the weaving of moments, the birth of dreams. It's as though the universe has moved inside your head, building constellations out of memory and light. And here, in this stillness, your brain becomes a painter, an inventor, a wanderer in its own creation. You imagine each neuron as a star, glowing softly in the vastness of your mind. Together, they form galaxies of thought, connected by invisible threads of energy. During the day, they spoke in logic, in reason, in focus. But now, in the gentle dark, their language changes. They begin to speak in feelings, colors, and symbols. A silent poetry only you can experience. This is where imagination begins to bloom, not as something you control, but as something that rises naturally from the deep. The architects of these inner worlds are ancient. Structures that have lived within you since before you could dream. The visual cortex paints the scenes. The amygdala colors them with emotion. The hippocampus whispers memory, and the prefrontal cortex steps aside, letting the subconscious take its turn at the wheel. These hidden creators are not random. They are artists guided by instinct, emotion, and energy. Together, they transform your day's fragments into something larger, something beautiful, something only the sleeping mind could conceive. You can almost sense them at work, invisible hands shaping the dream before it arrives. Thoughts, once rigid, now become fluid. A tree may grow from a whisper, a city may rise from a heartbeat. The boundaries between what was real and what is imagined dissolve completely. What was once just an idea becomes a landscape. What was once just a feeling becomes a face, a voice, a story. It's as if the mind has been waiting all day to tell its own tale. In this creation, time no longer behaves. Minutes stretch into hours, or vanish in an instant. The mind builds without blueprints, following emotions rather than logic. It draws from your memories, mixing them with pieces of fantasy, an old street, a forgotten sound, a color you've never seen but somehow recognize. These combinations are endless. Each dream, no matter how strange, is an echo of something you've felt, something your brain is still trying to understand. You might see a door appear, one that doesn't belong to any place you know. You might walk through it and find yourself in a floating garden or inside a house made of mirrors. You might meet someone you've never met, yet know intimately. In these worlds, the brain is not obeying the laws of physics or time, but emotion. It arranges symbols the way a poet arranges words, not to explain, but to evoke. The subconscious speaks in metaphor, and you are both listener and translator. Science has mapped parts of this mystery. It knows that dreams emerge from networks, circuits of creativity that light up when logic falls asleep. The default mode network, they call it, the same one that daydreams when you stare at clouds or drift in thought. During sleep, it expands, unbound by the restraints of the waking world. The brain's filters lower, allowing imagination to move freely, unhindered by the need to make sense. It's the same state that fuels art, invention, music, the state of unguarded creation. You drift through it like a traveler floating through a nebula. Colors swirl, voices echo. Each moment feels meaningful, even when you can't explain why. And that's the essence of dreams. Meaning without logic, truth without reason. The emotional brain takes control, guiding you through a landscape built from your own heart. You see the unseen, feel the unfelt, live within metaphors made real. It's science and mystery, working hand in hand, building the story of your night. Sometimes, you may notice that your dreams borrow pieces from your waking life. A sound from the outside world may become thunder in the dream sky. The faint rhythm of your heartbeat may transform into distant drums. Even the way your blanket feels against your skin can become the texture of a dream's landscape. The brain is always listening, always adapting, always creating continuity between worlds. It never stops building. It only changes its tools. You are the dreamer, but you are also the dream itself. Every person you meet, every tree, every star in your dream is part of you. Fragments of thought, emotion, and memory woven together into living form. The brain does not separate you from your creation. It lets you inhabit every role at once: observer, storyteller, and world. When you wake, you carry fragments of that world with you, though most will fade like mist in morning light. Still, the feeling remains, soft, strange, familiar. You might wonder why the brain chooses certain symbols, why it creates rivers when you feel peace, or storms when you feel fear. The subconscious mind translates emotion into imagery, like an artist painting with mood instead of pigment. To feel love might create warmth and light. To feel anxiety might conjure shifting shadows. Yet, beneath it all, the purpose is healing. The mind is trying to balance, to process, to understand. Every dream is a quiet conversation between who you are and what you carry inside. In the dreaming brain, boundaries disappear. Between past and future, between what you've known and what you've imagined. It's a playground of possibility, where memory and creativity merge into something timeless. The scientists see electric patterns. The poets see soul. But perhaps both are right. The brain's firing neurons become the brushstrokes of your inner universe. And as you dream, you wander among the stars of your own making, forgetting, for a while, that the light comes from within. You feel a softness spreading through you now, not just rest, but renewal. The dream architects continue their work in silence, reshaping the mind while the body sleeps. Every connection they rebuild, every image they create, is part of a larger design, one that keeps you whole. You are not lost in dreams, you are being restored by them. Each vision, each whisper, is a gentle repair. As you drift through this invisible construction, you sense how delicate and infinite it is. Every dream is unique, fleeting, impossible to repeat exactly the same way. The brain never reuses its worlds, it invents anew each night, as though the cosmos within you were constantly expanding. It is an endless act of creation, the mind rehearsing the art of imagination, over and over, until morning comes. And so you float through this inner universe, a quiet traveler in a world without borders. The architects work on, unseen, painting your thoughts into landscapes, turning emotion into story, and silence into song. You are surrounded by creation itself, a living, breathing dream of neurons and stars. And as you drift deeper, the world outside fades away, leaving only the soft hum of your imagination, building endlessly, quietly, beautifully, in the darkness of sleep. You drift through the soft hush of night, deeper and deeper into the heart of dreams. Here, where silence feels alive, the mind begins to speak in symbols and echoes. Thoughts no longer arrive as words but as images, sensations, and feelings. A door opens without hinges. A river flows through a sky of impossible color. And somewhere within these strange scenes, the subconscious begins to whisper, quiet messages from the deep sea of your inner world. Beneath your waking mind lies an ocean vast and uncharted. Its currents move silently, carrying memories, emotions, and instincts far below the surface. During the day, you only glimpse the ripples, a sudden thought, a passing mood, a flash of intuition. But when sleep comes, the surface stills, and you can finally sense what lies beneath. In this stillness, your subconscious begins to rise, bringing with it the language of dreams. Not made of words, but of symbols that shimmer like reflections on dark water. You imagine your mind as a vast ocean under a silver moon. Each wave is a thought, each current a memory. The deeper you drift, the darker and quieter it becomes. The conscious mind fades, and the subconscious expands like a vast underwater forest. It has always been there, shaping your choices, your instincts, your feelings. But now, in the darkness of sleep, it begins to speak in its own way. Dreams are its whispers, wrapped in imagery that only the heart can fully understand. Science tells us that dreams are partly the brain's way of processing emotion. The amygdala, the seat of feeling, glows with activity, even while the reasoning mind rests. Emotions take shape, not as thoughts, but as symbols. Joy becomes light. Fear becomes shadow. A question becomes a journey. These symbols rise to the surface of your awareness, like bioluminescent creatures, glowing softly, beckoning you to notice their meaning. You might see yourself walking down a long road that never ends, or standing in a house that feels both familiar and strange. You might fly or fall, or find yourself speaking to someone who is no longer alive. These moments are not random. They are reflections, the subconscious translating emotion into form. It shows you what the conscious mind cannot easily express. Each dream is a message, wrapped in mystery, asking not for understanding, but for gentle attention. You don't need to interpret it with logic. You simply feel it. The dream communicates in texture, in sound, in color. A soft rain might mean release. A locked door might mean waiting. A vast, empty field might mean freedom or longing. The meanings are fluid, never fixed. The subconscious does not explain, it reveals. Its language is ancient, older than speech, woven from instinct and emotion, like the song of wind through the branches of memory. As you drift deeper, you sense how the subconscious keeps you balanced, even when you do not listen to it. It remembers every moment you've lived, even the ones you've forgotten. It watches, records, and speaks in ways that keep your heart aligned. When you dream, it rearranges what's heavy and tangled within you, turning chaos into calm. Sometimes, the dream may frighten you, but even fear has purpose. The subconscious uses shadow to help the mind release what it cannot face in daylight. You imagine yourself swimming gently through that hidden ocean, surrounded by drifting lights. Each light is a thought once forgotten, now glowing softly in the dark. You reach toward one, and it changes shape. A voice from the past, a memory of kindness, a lesson you didn't know you remembered. The deeper you go, the more you realize that this place inside you is not chaotic but alive, ordered in ways beyond reason, graceful as the tides themselves. Dreams are the dialogue between these depths and your waking mind. They rise like bubbles to the surface, carrying fragments of meaning. Sometimes they burst the moment you open your eyes, vanishing into morning light. Other times they linger, a feeling you can't explain, a thought that won't leave you. That's how the subconscious speaks, not in commands, but in whispers. It gives you symbols to wonder about, emotions to sit with, mysteries to soften your waking thoughts. You can almost hear it now, the soft pulse of your inner ocean, rhythmic and eternal. The subconscious is not separate from you, it is you, the deeper self beneath thought. The part that dreams, that feels, that creates. It is your quiet companion through every night, keeping the balance between who you are and who you are becoming. Each dream it sends is a ripple in that balance, a reminder that even when you rest, the mind continues its gentle work. You might dream of water, of falling, of running, of light. Each of these symbols has crossed the minds of countless dreamers through time. Ancient, shared patterns of the human psyche. Jung called them archetypes, reflections of our collective unconscious. The hero, the shadow, the mother, the child. Each appears not as a story from outside, but as a mirror from within. You are part of that shared dream language, woven into the same timeless current of human imagination. Your subconscious is both personal and universal. It carries your private emotions, but also echoes the stories of humanity itself. The forest in your dream may not just be your memory. It may be the memory of countless dreamers before you. When you feel wonder or fear in a dream, you are touching something ancient. The same emotions felt by your ancestors, the same images shaped by minds across centuries. You are never alone in that dream sea. It connects all who sleep. As your body rests, your brain continues its slow dance of light. Neural signals shimmer through the limbic system, through the cortex, through the deep structures that hold your oldest instincts. It is a cosmic conversation, neurons sending sparks across the infinite darkness of your inner space. Each spark carries a message, a memory, a fragment of emotion. Together, they weave a story, not for the world, but for you alone. The subconscious never stops creating. Even when the dream fades, its messages linger in your emotions, your choices, your quiet moments. Sometimes, the meaning appears days later, disguised as intuition. A decision feels right without reason. A path feels familiar before you've walked it. These are echoes of your dreams, guidance from that deep, unseen sea. The subconscious does not speak in words, yet somehow, you always understand. You imagine now that the ocean of your mind stretches infinitely in every direction. The stars above it are your thoughts. The depths below are your secrets, your hopes, your memories. You float effortlessly, weightless, surrounded by the glow of your own being. The waves move without end, steady, timeless. Somewhere far below, the subconscious continues its gentle song. A song without language, but full of meaning. You don't need to reach for understanding. You only need to drift. The subconscious knows what to do. It is the quiet compass guiding you through the night. Its whispers will become tomorrow's peace. Its symbols will become tomorrow's understanding. And as you float through its gentle darkness, you feel safe, weightless, open. As if the sea itself were holding you in its endless, dreaming arms. You imagine the moonlight brushing against your eyelids as you drift deeper into thought. Somewhere in the quiet distance of your mind, a faint rhythm begins to echo, slow, steady, ancient. It is the heartbeat of the planet itself, pulsing through air, water, and stone. Every living thing, from the smallest cell to the tallest tree, dances to this same hidden beat. You feel it now, beneath your skin, as if your body remembers what your mind has forgotten. That everything, everywhere, moves in rhythm. The world is built on cycles. The rise and fall of waves, the turning of the earth, the drift of clouds, the breath of wind. Each follows a rhythm older than memory. Day folds into night. Seasons melt into one another, even within your body. The same cosmic timing flows quietly. Your heart beats like a drum in tune with unseen tides. Your breath follows its own ocean, swelling and falling like the sea against a darkened shore. Inside your cells, rhythm becomes a language. The circadian clock hums softly, marking time with invisible precision. Proteins rise and fall in concentration, signaling when to wake, when to dream, when to heal. Your temperature dips, your pulse slows, your body begins to align itself with the hush of night. You don't command it, it simply happens. A silent choreography written in your biology long before you were born. You picture it now, a glowing web of light within you, each point pulsing with time. The hypothalamus sends signals like ripples across this inner ocean. The pineal gland begins to shimmer, releasing melatonin into your blood, guiding you towards stillness. Your muscles soften. Your thoughts loosen their grip. The conscious world drifts away, and the ancient rhythm takes over, carrying you effortlessly towards sleep. Even your dreams follow these patterns. REM sleep, with its bursts of motion and color, rises like a tide before fading again into deeper rest. The brain cycles through these stages in waves, each one with a purpose. Memories are sifted, repaired, and arranged. Emotions are untangled and set gently back in place. Beneath the surface, your mind and body move as one, synchronized with the pulse of the planet, the pulse of life itself. Some scientists call it biological harmony. Others simply call it balance. But you can feel it. A sense of being exactly where you belong in the web of things. When your rhythms match the world's, everything feels softer, more fluid. The breath, the heartbeat, the rotation of the earth, all flowing together in a quiet, cosmic dance. You are not separate from nature. You are an instrument within its orchestra. You imagine standing on a shore beneath a sky full of drifting stars. The waves roll in with the patience of eternity, each one different, yet the same. The tide breathes in, the tide breathes out, and somewhere within that rhythm, you find your own. Your pulse begins to match the seas. Your breath follows it. You are the tide, and the tide is you. This rhythm does not belong only to the sea. It flows through the trees in the stretch and sway of their branches. It hums within the roots that dig deep into the earth, drinking from hidden rivers. It flickers in the firefly's light, in the wings of birds, in the soft murmur of a sleeping forest. The whole planet inhales and exhales together. A single living organism breathing through time. When you align yourself with these natural cycles, something changes within you. You begin to rest in harmony, to think in rhythm, to move without resistance. The body heals faster. The mind quiets more easily. You find yourself waking with a calm that feels older than words, as if the earth itself has lent you its steadiness. You might picture your heartbeat as a small drum, softly keeping time with the stars. The soundless throb of energy between galaxies mirrors the pulse within your chest. Physicists call it resonance. When two systems vibrate in harmony, amplifying each other's energy, you and the universe are doing the same. Every breath, every thought, every dream hums with the same quiet frequency. It is said that the earth emits a subtle electromagnetic rhythm, a heartbeat known as the Schumann resonance. Though inaudible, it vibrates through the atmosphere, connecting every living thing. Some believe our bodies sense it, not through the ears, but through the nervous system itself. When you are calm, grounded, still, your own heartbeat finds its way back to that frequency. You return, without effort, to the natural tempo of the world. You imagine lying in a field beneath a canopy of stars. The air is cool, and the ground hums faintly beneath you. Somewhere far away, lightning flashes, not a storm, but the pulse of the planet itself. You can feel it under your spine, a low vibration, ancient and soft. Your body begins to match it, each heartbeat aligning. Each breath sinking closer and closer, until you can no longer tell where you end and the earth begins. Time feels different here, slower, deeper. You realize that rhythm is not about speed. It's about balance. The pause between beats is just as important as the beat itself. The silence between breaths, the stillness between waves, the darkness between stars. All of it part of the same gentle design. Without stillness, rhythm cannot exist. Without rhythm, life cannot flow. Even in the vastness of space, rhythm persists. Pulsars, distant neutron stars, spin and flash with astonishing precision, like cosmic metronomes marking the heartbeat of galaxies. Planets orbit their suns in endless circles. Moons tug on oceans. Everything moves in repeating patterns, written across the sky like music too large for human hearing. You are a part of that song, shaped by it, carried by it. Your mind wanders further now. You see the Milky Way turning slowly across the night, each star tracing a path older than civilization itself. You imagine those stars whispering in frequencies too faint to hear. Not words, but waves of energy, gently humming in unison. The same rhythm that beats in your veins began there, billions of years ago, when the first atoms learned to vibrate. Back on Earth, the rhythm continues within your sleep. Your breathing grows slow and deep, each inhale a tide rising, each exhale a tide falling. The neurons in your brain begin to pulse in perfect synchrony, their electrical waves weaving a soft, steady pattern. Scientists call these slow wave oscillations, but to you, they feel like drifting. The mind's ocean resting under the moon's soft glow. You are no longer separate from these rhythms. You are made of them. Your cells keep time with the Earth's spin. Your thoughts pulse with the same cadence as the stars. Even your dreams unfold in cycles, looping and fading like the seasons of the soul. The entire universe seems to breathe through you, gentle and endless. There is peace in knowing you don't have to control it. The rhythm carries you, always. You need only listen. The quiet throb of your heart, the whisper of your breath, the steady pulse beneath the world's silence. Each sound is part of the same lullaby, a lullaby written by nature, sung by time itself. And as you drift further into that rhythm, into the deep blue hush of your own inner world, everything slows. You feel your heartbeat melting into the soft pulse of the planet, your breath dissolving into the breath of the stars. The universe rocks you gently, endlessly, like a tide that never ends. You drift through the soft folds of sleep, and something curious begins to stir inside your mind. The dream feels different tonight. Clearer, brighter, more alive. The colors seem to shimmer with meaning, the air around you humming like quiet electricity. You take a breath, and suddenly, you realize it. You're dreaming, yet you are awake inside it. The boundary between the real and the imagined softens, and you float in the space between both worlds. Lucid dreaming, they call it. A moment when awareness gently rises within the dream. It doesn't burst in like daylight. It arrives softly, like moonlight slipping through clouds. The brain recognizes its own illusion, yet chooses to stay within it, observing, exploring, creating. In this delicate balance, the dreamer becomes both artist and audience, watching the mind paint galaxies with its own hidden light. You imagine the brain as a sleeping city, its towers glowing faintly under a night sky. Most of its streets are dim, quiet, resting. But in a lucid dream, a few windows flicker back to life, lights turning on in regions of awareness. Scientists have seen this in brain scans. The prefrontal cortex, usually calm during sleep, begins to glow again. It is the seat of decision, reflection, and understanding, the part that whispers, "I know this is a dream." You picture neurons sparking like stars across the mind's vast expanse. Signals ripple outward, bridging sleep and wakefulness in a rare harmony. It's as if two worlds overlap, the logical and the fantastical, and for a moment, they coexist in peace. You can sense your body resting deeply, yet your thoughts move with clarity, fluid and bright as moonlit water. You stand in a place that obeys imagination more than physics. With each breath, the dream bends around you, responding to intention. A thought becomes a landscape. A feeling becomes light. The sound of your heartbeat turns into wind, carrying the scent of oceans that never existed. Here, gravity can be gentle. Time can slow to a shimmer. Everything listens to your quiet will. You think of how delicate this state truly is. Too much excitement, and the spell breaks. The mind wakes, the dream collapses into daylight. Too little awareness, and it fades back into ordinary sleep. To remain here, you must balance between control and surrender, like walking across a bridge of mist. You must trust the dream, let it guide you, even as you know it's yours. Science has long been fascinated by this balance. During a lucid dream, the brain's chemistry shifts in subtle ways. Acetylcholine levels rise, sharpening awareness without disturbing rest. The parietal lobes hum gently, weaving sensory details that feel astonishingly real. The amygdala, which stirs emotion, remains active, explaining why lucid dreams often feel profoundly meaningful. You are both scientist and traveler here, exploring the terrain of your own inner cosmos. You imagine standing at the edge of a great dream, ocean, the waves made of thoughts and memories. You wade in, and with each ripple, new images bloom. Fragments of forgotten days, colors without names, sounds from other lifetimes. You can shape them if you wish. You can fly across mountains, dive into stars, or walk through mirrors that lead to other worlds. Yet even as you create, you feel small, humbled by the endless depth of your mind's imagination. The ancients believed lucid dreaming was a doorway to the spirit. Tibetan monks called it the clear light dream, a path to understanding the illusion of reality itself. In their practice, awareness within the dream was not power. It was awakening. You imagine them meditating under high mountain skies, learning to walk through their dreams with compassion and stillness, using sleep as a bridge to enlightenment. In a way, science and mysticism meet here. Both see lucid dreaming as a rare meeting of worlds. Consciousness inside unconsciousness, reason inside mystery. It is a reminder that the waking mind and the dreaming mind are not separate. They are two sides of the same tide, ebbing and flowing through the shores of awareness. You can't hold one without the other. They move together, always, in a quiet rhythm beyond understanding. Inside the lucid state, time becomes fluid. A single moment can stretch into eternity, or pass in the blink of an eye. You can explore entire lifetimes between one breath and the next. The mind loses its need to measure, to count, to define. It simply experiences, pure, vivid, unbound. Like a drop of water dissolving into the ocean of consciousness, you exist only as sensation and wonder. Sometimes lucid dreams become lessons. They reveal hidden fears, repressed thoughts, or emotions left unresolved. Because here, nothing can hide. Everything you see is a reflection of you. You may face shadows that whisper in familiar voices, or meet people who seem to know you better than you know yourself. The subconscious, free of disguise, offers you what it thinks you need to see. And with awareness, you can listen, gently, without judgment. You drift through a corridor of your own creation, where doors open into infinite possibilities. Behind one, a forest hums with bioluminescent trees. Behind another, a city floats above clouds. Each world feels complete, alive, waiting. Yet you know they are woven from thought alone. The realization doesn't make them less beautiful. It makes them more so. You are witnessing imagination at its most pure, its most luminous. As you float, you remember the scientists who train themselves to lucid dream for research. They enter sleep with specific intentions, to test reflexes, to signal from inside the dream by moving their eyes. Their experiments prove that the dreaming mind can communicate, can act, can decide. Awareness does not fully sleep. It hums softly. Watching itself dream, you imagine what it must feel like, To know, truly know, that even while sleeping, you are awake in another form. You picture the surface of the brain, waves of electrical activity moving like tides beneath the skull. Delta waves slow and deep, theta waves shimmering like candlelight. Then bursts of gamma flicker, those rare frequencies tied to lucidity. It is as if the mind lights its own lantern in the dark, illuminating the dream's architecture from within. You can almost hear it, a soft vibration, like stars whispering through the night. The more you drift, the more the line between dreaming and waking fades. You feel that perhaps waking life itself might be another kind of dream. One so convincing, so continuous, that you've simply forgotten you're inside it. The lucid state reminds you everything begins in perception, and perception itself is a kind of creation. What you see, feel, and believe. It's all shaped by your inner lens. You imagine walking through a mirror in your dream, only to find yourself standing in your own waking room. The walls are the same. The air feels familiar. Yet something glows around the edges, a faint shimmer that wasn't there before. You realize the dream hasn't ended. It has merely changed shape. The waking world, too, hums with the same dreamlight, subtle, persistent, eternal. The dream begins to soften now, like mist fading with dawn. The colors grow pale, the sounds stretch into silence. You can feel yourself slipping away from that lucid clarity, back toward the deeper currents of rest. But the awareness remains, faint, glowing like an ember behind your thoughts. You carry it with you, a quiet reminder that the mind is vast, infinite, capable of miracles even as it sleeps. And as you drift further, letting the last fragments of the dream dissolve into darkness, you can almost hear your own consciousness breathing. Slow, soft, and endless, as if the universe itself were still dreaming through you. You drift deeper into the stillness of night, where thoughts slow and soften like falling snow. The body rests, yet the mind begins its quiet work beneath the surface. Within this tranquil darkness, something delicate unfolds, an unseen process of healing, weaving, and transformation. Dreams rise gently from your subconscious, carrying emotions and memories like leaves floating downstream. Here, the mind becomes both healer and storyteller, transforming what once felt heavy into something light enough to drift away. You imagine your brain as a glowing forest at night, each neuron a firefly pulsing softly. Signals flicker from one branch to another, forming trails of memory through the dark. In this twilight forest, emotions are travelers, moving slowly through the mist. They wander until they find meaning, until they settle into new shapes. This is emotional alchemy, the brain's way of turning chaos into calm, worry into understanding, pain into peace. During REM sleep, your brain hums with quiet brilliance. It replays fragments of the day, moments you spoke, feelings you didn't name, sights that lingered in your mind's corner. It doesn't relive them as they were. It reshapes them, stitching emotion into memory, like a lullaby sewn with silver thread. This is how the brain heals, by dreaming, by revisiting, by softening what once was sharp. Scientists believe dreams help regulate emotion. The amygdala, that ancient keeper of fear and passion, remains active even as the body lies still. But in sleep, it loses its urgency. The brain replays emotional experiences without the rush of stress hormones that trouble the waking mind. You relive, but you are safe. You remember, but you are calm. Your mind rehearses forgiveness, closure, and release, all while your heartbeat slows beneath the moonlight. You might picture this process as waves washing over the shore. Each wave is a memory touched by feeling. Anger, sadness, joy, longing. The waves roll in, break gently, and retreat. Nothing is erased. It's simply made smooth, softened by the rhythm of rest. The sea of your mind reshapes its own sand each night, leaving behind patterns only it understands. Sometimes, your dreams replay moments of sorrow or loss. But even then, they serve a purpose: to let the mind feel safely what the heart could not face by day. In this quiet world, the emotions loosen their knots, unravel their weight. What felt tangled begins to flow again, lighter, freer. The dreaming brain gives every feeling a place to rest. You imagine yourself standing inside your own dream, surrounded by images that shimmer like glass. They seem strange, yet familiar. Each one represents something from waking life: a worry, a hope, a question left unanswered. The dream rearranges them into symbols: a locked door, a glowing river, a bird that won't stop singing. The mind speaks in metaphor while it heals, because symbols are how it touches the truth without breaking it. This translation between feeling and image is its own language. A storm might not be a storm. It might be a surge of emotion, a wave your subconscious is learning to balance. A gentle light might be acceptance, slowly dawning after days of clouded thought. The dreaming mind speaks in riddles, because understanding comes not from words, but from recognition. You wake not knowing exactly what you dreamed, yet feeling lighter, as if a burden has quietly melted overnight. Emotional healing during dreams doesn't only live in symbols. It also lies in chemistry. The brain releases dopamine and serotonin, soothing neurotransmitters that bathe your neurons in calm. Cortisol, the stress messenger, fades away. The body's temperature lowers, the breath deepens, and your nervous system finds equilibrium. It's a symphony of restoration, invisible yet profoundly real. You think of your mind as a vast sky filled with stars of memory. Some burn bright, new and vivid. Others are faint, fading in the distance. When you dream, the sky rearranges itself. The constellations shift. New meanings form between the points of light. The stars don't disappear. They simply find new connections, new harmony in their arrangement. As you drift deeper, you can almost feel it happening. Memories soften at the edges, blending with imagination. A conversation from years ago meets a sound from childhood, merging into something entirely new. The mind experiments, weaving patterns to test new understandings. It asks, what if? Not with curiosity, but with compassion. What if you let go? What if this didn't hurt anymore? What if you were free? This is the alchemy of dreaming. Not gold from metal, but peace from memory. Through the gentle fires of REM, emotion transforms into wisdom. The brain stores the lesson, not the pain. The past remains, but its grip weakens. Each night, the mind reshapes itself, growing softer around old edges, ready to wake renewed. Sometimes you wake with tears you can't explain. That, too, is healing. The emotions have completed their journey, surfacing only to release what's left. Dreams let you feel without breaking, remember without despair. They are the mind's quiet therapy, the way it speaks when words would only make noise. You imagine a garden hidden deep within your mind. Each dream waters it, feeds it, tends it. Flowers bloom from forgotten seeds, hopes, joys, or sorrows long buried. Some fade by morning, their purpose fulfilled. Others linger, their fragrance following you into waking life. You may not remember the garden's shape, but you'll feel its calm in your chest, its quiet in your thoughts. Even nightmares, those dark storms that visit uninvited, have their role. They purge the tension, release the pressure. They are lightning striking where the air has grown too heavy. Afterward, the sky clears. You breathe easier. Nightmares remind the mind that light still follows darkness. Always. In this way, your dreams are your nightly medicine. They mend the emotional fabric of your being, thread by thread. While you rest, your mind listens to your heart, tending to its hidden aches. You may never hear the conversation, but you wake changed, lighter, clearer, more yourself. You can almost feel the process now, neurons glowing like embers, connections reforming in silence. The body still, the mind alive with color and rhythm. Somewhere deep inside, your emotions rearrange themselves into patterns of balance and release. The quiet hum of healing carries through every heartbeat. And as you drift farther into that vast ocean of sleep, the emotional storms calm, their echoes softening into ripples of peace. The waves of memory grow faint, the waters smooth and endless. You float upon them, weightless, healed not by thought, but by the quiet rhythm of the dreaming mind. You drift through the soft layers of sleep, floating between silence and story. The world outside fades to a gentle hum, while within you, something ancient begins to unfold. The dream opens like a book written in light, a language of images, feelings, and symbols. You see yourself flying through the air, falling from impossible heights, running endlessly through shifting landscapes. These visions aren't random. They are echoes of something shared, threads of human imagination that stretch across time, binding dreamers together beneath the same sleeping sky. Across every culture, every generation, people have dreamed of the same strange things. Flying through the air, losing teeth. Standing unprepared before a crowd, searching for something that keeps slipping away. These patterns repeat because the human mind speaks in a universal tongue, the quiet vocabulary of emotion. To fly is to feel free. To fall is to feel lost. To search is to remember that something within you is still incomplete. Dreams are the stories the soul tells itself in secret, and every heart, no matter where it lives, whispers the same tales. You imagine the ancient dreamers, people sleeping under open skies, their minds filled with firelight and wonder. They woke and shared what they saw: animals that spoke, spirits that glowed, rivers that whispered answers to questions no one could ask aloud. Dreams were sacred then. They were messages from gods, ancestors, and stars. The earliest myths began this way, born from dreams, carved into memory, passed through generations like soft fragments of eternity. Even now, you carry those same symbols within you. A snake might slither through your dream, ancient and silent, a symbol of change. A doorway might open to nowhere, reminding you of choice and mystery. Fire might glow in the distance, calling you toward creation or destruction. These images are not taught. They are remembered. The brain holds an old code, written in metaphor, shared across the world's sleeping minds. Scientists call this the collective unconscious, a reservoir of shared imagery and instinct. It hums quietly beneath our individual thoughts, connecting us to every dreamer who ever lived. When you dream, you tap into that vast current. You sail its waters, guided by symbols older than language. The brain constructs the visuals, but something deeper, something timeless, shapes the story's tone. That's why the dreams of a child in one corner of the world resemble those of an elder oceans away. We all dream in the same emotional light. You imagine a great ocean stretching beneath the surface of consciousness. Every sleeper is a diver, descending into its glowing depths. Some swim near the surface, dreaming of familiar things, faces, places, memories. Others drift deeper, where the water thickens into myth. Down there, symbols shimmer like schools of fish, universal, wordless, radiant. When you touch one, your dream changes. It glows brighter. It speaks in a voice that isn't quite yours, yet feels entirely known. Dream researchers have mapped patterns that cross culture and age. They find the same images again and again. The endless chase, the sudden flight, the meeting with the lost. These are the shared frameworks of emotion, shaped by evolution itself. Fear, joy, longing, courage. The primal forces that guide all living things find their reflections in dream imagery. Your brain translates survival and memory into moving pictures, blending instinct with imagination. You think of your ancestors dreaming beside the fire centuries ago. Their minds worked in much the same way yours does now. The same electrical rhythms pulsed through their sleeping brains. The same cycles of REM fluttered behind their closed eyes. They too dreamed of flying, of danger, of love and loss. The human story, from its first heartbeat to now, is told again and again through dreams. Every night, you contribute another page to that unending tale. Across the globe, dream interpretations took root, patterns of meaning grown from this universal soil. In ancient Egypt, dreamers believed their souls traveled through the dot, the underworld of stars. In Greece, dreams were messages from the divine, delivered through the god Morpheus. In China, dreams connected the living with ancestors, binding generations through sleeping memory. And in the quiet spaces of indigenous traditions, dreams served as guidance, maps drawn by the spirit world itself. Different beliefs. Same yearning to understand the mystery of the inner night. You imagine the dream symbols themselves as constellations. Each one is a point of light in the dark, a star shared by countless dreamers. When you dream of falling, someone else, far away, dreams the same descent. When you soar, another heart lifts in flight. These shared visions connect us through invisible threads, weaving a tapestry of human emotion that spans continents and centuries. The dream world is not yours alone. It belongs to everyone who has ever closed their eyes and wandered within. In your dream, the setting might change. A city turns into a forest, a room into an ocean, but the feeling remains. That's what the brain remembers most. The emotion beneath the image. Dreams speak in sensations first, and meaning follows after. You wake and say, "I was flying." But what you really mean is, "I felt limitless." You say, "I was lost," but inside, you were searching for belonging. The image fades, but the feeling lingers, humming softly in your waking heart. Neuroscience shows that the limbic system, the brain's emotional center, is especially active during dreams. That's why your dream worlds feel so alive, so charged with emotion. You might forget the story, but your body remembers the feeling. The warmth, the fear, the awe. Each night, you travel through emotional landscapes that help your mind process the experiences of the day. But woven through them are the echoes of others, the same stories dreamt by millions of souls before you. You imagine yourself walking through a vast hall filled with mirrors. In each reflection, another dreamer stands. Faces from every culture, every century, every corner of the earth. Their eyes are closed, yet within them, the same dreamlight glows. You recognize it, that familiar shimmer. The shared language of the sleeping world. You and they are reflections of one another, bound by the invisible pulse of dreaming humanity. Even animals share this gift. The sleeping cat twitches as if chasing prey. The dog's paws run across invisible fields. The dolphin sleeps with one eye open, dreaming in half light. Across the animal kingdom, dreaming serves a purpose. Emotional regulation, learning, memory. Life itself seems to require this nightly rehearsal of existence, this soft return to the dream. You are not alone in it. Every living creature swims in the same nocturnal tide. As you drift further, the idea feels comforting, that when you dream, you join a vast, silent chorus, millions of hearts beating in rhythm. millions of minds painting stories in the dark. Somewhere, a child dreams of the sky you saw once in your own sleep. Somewhere else, an elder revisits the same ocean that you now drift upon. The dream world has no borders, no time, no distance, only connection. You can almost sense it now. The invisible network of dreamers surrounding you, breathing softly in unison. The night stretches wide and endless, filled with their dreams and yours, all shimmering together like stars across an infinite sky. Every symbol, every image, every emotion, shared, translated, understood without words, you drift deeper, carried by that shared current. A single note in the vast sleeping symphony of humankind. You close your eyes, and the world softens into silence. Somewhere between thought and dream, your body begins its quiet restoration. Every cell, every breath, begins to shift into a rhythm that has existed since life itself began. You feel your heartbeat slow, steady as a tide. Deep within, invisible worlds awaken. Tiny repair crews of molecules moving through the dark, patching, building, restoring. As your mind drifts away, your body begins the sacred work of renewal. You imagine your body as a vast, starlit landscape. Each organ glows faintly, connected by shimmering rivers of blood and light. In sleep, these rivers move differently, flowing deeper, slower, wiser. Cells take in oxygen and release their burdens. Broken tissues mend quietly, guided by patterns older than memory. Even your DNA hums softly, repairing strands twisted by the wear of waking life. You are, in this moment, a universe healing itself. The brain begins to clean itself in sleep, like a sea tide washing the shore. Within it lies a special network called the glymphatic system, a silent current that flows through your neural valleys. During the day, it slows, constrained by wakefulness. But at night, it stirs like moonlit water, sweeping away the debris of thought, the molecular traces of your waking hours. You can almost imagine the glow, a shimmering tide moving through the folds of your mind, carrying away what no longer serves you. Neurons, the tiny stars of your consciousness, rest and recharge. Some whisper to each other, replaying memories, strengthening what matters most. Others fall silent, their activity replaced by deep, rhythmic pulses that echo through your sleeping brain. It is a symphony of restoration, each wave of slow sleep guiding you deeper, each moment of stillness a chance for your mind to heal. Beneath the surface, your brain is writing its own song of renewal, a lullaby for the self. You imagine your muscles releasing their tension, strand by strand, fiber by fiber. During the day they've carried you, lifted you, held you upright against gravity and effort. But now they soften, their microscopic tears knitting back together, their strength restored through a quiet alchemy of protein and patience. The pituitary gland releases growth hormone, not for growing taller, but for repairing and rebuilding. It seeps into your bloodstream like moonlight through mist, guiding the silent work of rejuvenation. Your heart, too, rests differently in sleep. It slows its steady rhythm, easing the pressure that the day demands. Blood pressure falls, arteries relax, and your circulatory system hums with a gentle calm. Each beat becomes a whisper, each pulse a reminder that rest is not absence, but balance. Your cardiovascular system restores its harmony, preparing you to wake renewed, strong, and peaceful. Deeper still, your immune system awakens. While your consciousness drifts through dreams, an invisible army begins its patrol. White blood cells wander through your bloodstream, seeking out invaders, repairing damage, learning from the day's exposures. Cytokines, small signaling proteins, rise and fall in their nightly pattern, coordinating this quiet defense. You imagine them as glowing guardians, moving through you like fireflies, tending to the delicate balance of life within. Even your skin, that outer boundary between you and the universe, takes part in this nightly renewal. During the day it shields you from sunlight, dust, and wind. At night, it breathes rebuilding collagen, mending tiny breaks, replenishing oils and moisture lost to the hours of waking. The body's temperature dips slightly, a cue to the cells that it is time to heal. You can almost feel it now, a faint cooling, a deep calm spreading from your skin inward. Your metabolism shifts in sleep. The body becomes efficient, selective, intentional. Instead of burning energy for movement, it turns inward, processing nutrients, balancing hormones, regulating blood sugar. Insulin sensitivity changes, hunger signals reset. The night becomes a silent recalibration of systems that keep you alive. You might dream of floating through space, but your body remains deeply grounded, working in harmony beneath the blanket of night. The nervous system, that endless web of signals, slows its lightning pace. The parasympathetic branch takes over, the one devoted to rest and restoration. It soothes the organs, slows the breath, and lowers the pulse. The body, once vigilant and ready for survival, now surrenders to peace. It is the body's ancient trust in safety, a trust that allows you to drift into the rhythm of repair. As you sink deeper into this awareness, you begin to imagine each organ as part of a greater constellation. The liver glows like a golden sun, filtering the blood, cleansing it of toxins and waste. The kidneys shimmer like twin moons, balancing water and minerals, keeping the body's oceans steady. The lungs rise and fall like gentle waves, pulling in the night air, releasing what no longer serves. Each part of you moves in quiet harmony, guided by the deep intelligence of life. The mind, even in dreams, contributes to this restoration. Emotional centers like the amygdala soften their vigilance. The prefrontal cortex, so busy with planning and worry, loosens its hold. In this release, you find emotional healing, the chance to integrate the stories of your day, to let go of what hurts. You dream of vast skies, deep oceans, endless forests, metaphors born from your own brain's desire to find peace. You imagine yourself walking through that dream forest now. Each tree glows faintly with life. The air hums with quiet purpose, as if the world itself were healing. Somewhere in that silence, you sense your body doing the same. The boundaries between your cells and the forest blur, and you realize that your inner world mirrors the natural one. Both know how to rest. Both know how to renew. Hormones flow like gentle streams, syncing with your circadian rhythm. Melatonin, released from the pineal gland, deepens your rest, guiding your body into darkness. Cortisol, the stress hormone, retreats into its own cycle, preparing for the light of morning. These internal tides are timeless. The same patterns your ancestors followed, the same rhythms that shaped the sleeping world. Even the stars above, distant and steady, seem to pulse with that same quiet order. You can almost feel the communication within you. Cells talking to one another, chemicals passing messages, electric impulses sparking softly in the dark. The body is never silent. Even as you sleep, it hums with intelligence. It balances, restores, remembers. Each night, this orchestra performs beneath your awareness, guided by a music you cannot hear, but always feel. Somewhere between wake and dream, you understand that rest is not stillness but motion. Slow, inward, purposeful. A movement toward balance. A journey into the body's own cosmos. Every breath, every heartbeat, every pulse of healing light draws you closer to wholeness. You drift within it, surrounded by the rhythm of your own repair, as if the stars themselves were tending to you. And as the night deepens, you become lighter. Thought dissolves into feeling, feeling into breath. Your body continues its ancient work, each process unfolding perfectly in silence. The world outside disappears, and all that remains is the gentle hum of life within you, glowing softly, endlessly. In the dark, the morning light begins to stretch across the edge of your dreams. It arrives softly, like a whisper through a half-open window. You feel it before you see it. The quiet pulse of awakening, the faint hum of the world returning. The colors behind your eyelids shift from shadow to warmth, as if the sun itself were tracing your thoughts. In that tender space between dreaming and waking, your mind still drifts, holding fragments of the night's stories in its gentle hands. You try to grasp one of those dreams, but it slips away like mist. It lingers at the edge of memory, a shape, a sound, a feeling that fades as soon as you reach for it. This is how dreams vanish. The moment light touches the mind, the delicate threads of sleep begin to dissolve. It is a strange kind of forgetting, not of loss, but of release. You realize that dreams were never meant to stay. The science of waking is its own quiet marvel. As dawn brightens, your brain shifts from the slow waves of sleep to the quick sparks of consciousness. Neurons that once whispered in rhythm now chatter and connect, reassembling the architecture of thought. The prefrontal cortex stirs again, the keeper of reason, planning, and control, returning from its night of rest. It is the reawakening of order after a night of creative chaos. You imagine your mind as a vast observatory under a starlit dome. Through the night, it studied constellations of memory and emotion, gathering fragments from the day before. But now, as the first rays of morning light rise beyond the horizon, the dome begins to open. The stars fade, but their glow remains in the patterns you carry, new insights, subtle feelings, faint realizations. You may not remember the dream, but its work continues quietly within you. You take a breath, and your lungs expand with cool air. The first conscious inhale feels different, grounded, deliberate, alive. Carbon dioxide leaves your body, and oxygen floods in, feeding the brain that hums back to life. Somewhere in that exchange, the body's chemistry shifts. Melatonin retreats as cortisol rises, preparing you for wakefulness. The transition is seamless, orchestrated by the same ancient rhythms that govern sleep, tide, and light. You stretch, even if only in your imagination. The body, once curled in stillness, remembers its weight. Muscles awaken like sleepy animals, slow but certain, aware that movement is near. Blood begins to circulate faster, carrying warmth to your fingertips and toes. It is the dawn of motion after a night of dreams. The body and mind aligning again, like twin suns meeting on the horizon. You think of how dreams leave behind traces, faint but powerful. They don't vanish completely. They settle somewhere deeper, in the folds of memory and emotion. Sometimes a scent, a song, or a passing face will awaken one again. Scientists believe that during REM sleep, your brain stores emotional experiences, sorting through what to keep and what to let go. Each dream is part of that sorting, a gentle rewriting of the story you live by. Dreams are not just echoes of imagination. They are builders of balance. They test emotions safely, replay moments, soften the sharp edges of memory. They let the mind practice resilience without pain. You may have flown, or fallen, or faced a shadow that never spoke. And yet, in the silent theater of sleep, something in you learned, healed, or understood. When you wake, you carry that lesson quietly, though you may never know its name. You imagine now that dreams are like messages written on water. Their purpose is not to be kept, but to ripple, to move, to change the surface of your inner world. When the sunlight returns, the writing disappears, but the water remains altered, calmer, wiser, more whole. Each night you are washed by these unseen tides, and each morning you emerge a little lighter. The waking world feels softer after a night of dreaming. Colors seem to breathe differently. Sounds carry a deeper tone. Perhaps this is because the dream has not completely left you. The boundary between night and day is porous, and sometimes the imagination lingers, tainting your perception with its quiet afterglow. You walk through the world half awake, still tethered to that ocean of the mind. Your thoughts begin to form again, but they are slower, gentler. You feel the weight of the sheets, the sound of your own breathing. Awareness is no longer a rush but a return, a slow surfacing from the depths. The hippocampus, keeper of memory, begins to log new sensations, new sights, ready to weave another day's worth of experience. You realize that the dream and waking life are not opposites, but two sides of the same tide. As you breathe, you can almost sense the dream world fading behind you, not lost, only distant. It still hums somewhere in the background, like a song that continues after you've walked out of the room. It has left something in you, a mood, a curiosity, a calm. This, too, is part of dreaming, its quiet influence on waking thought. You carry its mystery into the light, the way stars remain hidden behind the brightness of day. You think of the countless generations who have dreamed before you, ancient humans beneath open skies, imagining the meaning of their visions. They believed dreams were messages, from gods, from ancestors, from the earth itself. They looked to the night for wisdom, and in their stories, the boundaries between dream and life were soft and sacred. You realize that even now, with all our science, the mystery remains just as beautiful. Modern science tells us why we dream, or tries to. Some say it's for memory, others for emotion, or problem solving. But perhaps the truest answer lies somewhere beyond reason. Perhaps we dream because the mind needs to wander, to imagine, to play. The dream state is a rehearsal for creativity, a nightly exploration of infinite possibility. And when you wake, that quiet creativity remains, reshaping how you see the day. You imagine waking fully now. The sunlight spreads across your room, painting gentle shapes on the wall. Dust particles drift like tiny stars, suspended in their own quiet galaxy. Outside, a bird calls, and its song feels like the echo of your dream's last note. The line between what was imagined and what is real seems to blur. You understand that both belong to you, the inner cosmos and the outer one. You stretch again, feeling the body's rhythm, sensing with the world beyond your window. The heart beats a little faster, the senses open wider. The earth itself is waking with you, leaves unfurling, water flowing, light growing. You are part of this same cycle, this endless exchange of darkness and dawn. Every sleep is a small death, every awakening a quiet rebirth. And though the dreams may fade, their traces remain, invisible patterns shaping your thoughts, your creativity, your peace. Somewhere within, the memory of flight still stirs. The feeling of falling still hums faintly beneath your ribs. The face you saw in the dream might return as an idea, a decision, a smile later in the day. The dream never truly ends, it only changes form, slipping into the waking self. You let yourself linger in that thought, neither fully awake nor asleep. The mind hovers like mist between two worlds, both familiar and strange. In that between space, you can still feel the quiet hum of the dreaming brain. You sense how it weaves both reality and reverie into one soft continuum. The boundary between night and day dissolves, and you simply breathe, steady, calm, suspended in the golden rhythm of awakening.